Hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum. May I welcome you all to this program. Thank you very much for turning up. This program is all about the history of Bengali community in Birmingham. So I take this opportunity to welcome you all to this program and celebrate the life of our elders, those who have actually contributed a lot to develop this community and to actually create the footing of this community in this part of the country, in particular Aston Lozells wards of Birmingham and all parts of Birmingham. It's my pleasure to welcome you all, and in particular I'm pleased to have Reverend Pete Sainsbury among us, and I'd like to welcome you, sir, for joining us, and thank you very much. So I'll just give you a brief idea actually what we have done through this project. This project started in 2013 with the aim, as this name of the project suggests, Journey from Bangladesh to Birmingham. The main idea of this project was to actually record the history, oral history of the people, those who came to Birmingham from Bangladesh. As you all know, we have quite a reasonable sized diaspora in Birmingham, Bengali diaspora in Birmingham. They started coming quite a while ago in this country. Some of you will be surprised to know that is people started coming even at the time of First World War. Okay, so our history actually quite imprinted in this country's history, and people have contributed in the First World War. You will see from one of my colleagues today, he will speak about while he is trying to find out our contribution during the First World War. Okay, so the history of our community is we are not a new community in that way in this country. So we have rich history, and our project wanted to actually record that history. Some of the things when we started this project, when we went to people, some people say, okay, you want to record my history? No, my history is not that important. But one of the important part of this project was to actually record the history of the ordinary people. Right, today among us, I can see some bright community youngsters, I would say youngsters, successful business people, professionals among us. But today they should know this, today their success actually was built on the sacrifices of our community elders. As we have went to the houses to record the history of the people, right, we come across people with very humble background. I'm not trying to, but with very humble background. But then when they introduced our volunteers to their children's, their achievements, that was really, really remarkable. We went to a house where there were a director of Home Office, regional directors were sitting there. And when we wanted to say, that is, we want to record the history of his parents, it was really a delightful experience. Okay, we went to houses where we have found that is people, younger generation with huge success. They are quite embedded in this community, and doctors, engineers, lawyers, accountants, big successful businessmen, civil servants in all parts of the society who are contributing. But then we asked them, that is, what do you know about your parents? Many of them, unfortunately, says, not that much. That's why this project comes to play a part. Okay, sometimes people are initially hesitant to share their stories with us. They said, look, I don't want to say what actually happened in the past, but as our volunteers and we are able to explain to the people, that is, what is the importance. In 100 years' time, because this project will be archived in Birmingham Central Library, okay, in 100 years' time, our researcher, like our younger generation, they will be able to go to the library and see actually the stories of their grandparents, their parents, or their great-grandparents. Okay, so we have started a bit late, but hope other people do join us, because we have some wonderful people, those who have given their stories, they shared their life stories with us, and it's simply mind-blowing. The Aston Lozells, what you see today, was not like this 50, 60, 70, 100 years ago. And as we comb through the stories of these people, we have come across the people. Getting first halal chicken was a big issue. Nowadays, we can just step from our home and get our halal chickens. Okay, our food, the grocery shops that you see. And also what we have found time and again, that is how the communities, especially the host communities, with the people, the guest communities, the people like coming from the Bengali diaspora, people coming from Jamaican diaspora. I really appreciate Liverton and your groups to join us today. Actually, that is, thank you very much for joining us. And our ladies at the back. Okay, we have some wonderful stories that we have collected from our ladies, those who are sitting at the back, but their stories are really, really remarkable. You will see that's what the project tried to achieve. So what we are doing today, we are just recognizing those people, those who were kind enough, brave enough to actually share their stories with us for the future generation to actually take pride of it, and take actually they can, it will be a wealth of information which will actually help our future generation to understand how the community has grown here. Because sometimes we feel that is whether we are integrating well or not. What we find through this project, what we have found, that is our older generation were better integrated in this society than perhaps a bit generation next. The stories of the older generation, you will come across, they have lots of friends from the local communities, from the indigenous communities. They mixed quite well. But obviously, as we have grown, our community has grown, many of the things, now you want an accountant, you will get a Bengali accountant. You want a doctor, you will get a Bengali doctor. You want a lawyer, you get a Bengali lawyer, which is very good. But at the same time, sometimes it has created a bit of division. So this project wanted to show to the younger generation, look, our older generation was quite mixing with the indigenous community, and actually most of the cases what we have found, yes, there are some racism, there are some occasional problems, but apart from that, it was always the stories actually came through this project is that you see the generosity of the people, those who are hosting us here. Okay, so as the children of the migrant community, this project has given us an enormous opportunity, especially our volunteers, those who have worked with these projects, actually to learn about their footings, about their heritage, about their history a great deal. So thank you very much. My actually big thanks to our elders, our deepest respect to you, sir. That is your contribution. That is what you have done for the community, and how you have built the community today is all of you together made it what we are today. So at this stage, I will now request I think it was switched off. Did you hear me? Okay. At this stage, I will request Brother Easy Mohammed. Just let me give you a bit of brief idea about who is Brother Easy. First of all, he's a third generation Bengali person who grew up in Lozells, who went to Anglesey Primary School and Holt School, and he worked with the Birmingham Central Library with the archives, and who actually gave us big help to get this project running. We didn't know he was a Bengali, let me tell you that. Okay, Heritage Lottery actually told us to contact Izzy, and when we went to him, and we were very pleased to have him and find that he's a Bengali, and he was a great help for this project. And now I will pass the microphone to, I will request Izzy Muhammad to come and actually share his experiences with us. Thank you.
Turn it off, actually. I've turned off the microphone because I think you can hear me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good. I'll just say something quick about myself. I am what they call a heritage sector practitioner. I work in museums, I work in archives, I work in libraries. What I've been doing for the past 15, 16 years is collecting the histories of different communities in the city to better represent everybody, to help everybody better understand who they are and understand their rightful place in the city. As we'll all understand, when our sort of elders arrived first, they arrived thinking they'll work for a few years and they'll return home. I think most of us know that, but of course they stayed, and several generations later we are here. The challenge for us is to understand that we are here forever and for good, and that subsequent generations after us will be the same. So projects like the one that Brother Masud has been doing have been really important for us to acknowledge, recognise that we are here for good, and for those stories to become part of the national story, if you understand what I mean. So when you look at the history books in this country, you rarely will find a story about the British Bangladeshi or the Birmingham Bangladeshi or any other community. And I think that's a problem, that's an issue, because how can we feel a part of this country when our stories, when our histories are missing? If you look at the way in which Bangladeshis have made their contributions to Birmingham and other parts of the city, or rather other parts of the country. If you look at the contributions we've made through the restaurant trade, which has been a really important part of the city's and the nation's culture, even as far back as the 1960s, in the research that I've come across, because I'm now doing a PhD, a doctorate at the University of Birmingham, which looks at diverse histories and heritages and identity and tries to understand what our place is in this country. When, as far back as the 1960s, the research was showing that it was the East Pakistanis that were the restaurateurs, the Indian restaurateurs at the time. So as far back as the 1960s, it was already recognised 55 years ago that we were the people running the Indian restaurants in the city and in the country. And so that was a research project, but it's not in history books. So we're making these sorts of contributions and it's not properly acknowledged, and we don't even know the history properly ourselves. So projects like the one Brother Masud is doing is so important for that reason. Unless we record the stories of our elders, our mothers, our grandmothers, our uncles, our fathers, our grandfathers, where do we go? If we don't record those stories and we don't put it in the library, and if we don't put it in the museum where it will be forever, okay, then what do we use? What is the raw material that we write our histories from? Okay, in other words, we'll be making it up. So we've had to record the stories. I know that the question people ask is, why do you want my story? It's not important. And I'm never after the special story. All I am ever after is the most ordinary story, because we Bangladeshi are humble and ordinary people, and we just get on with our lives and make our contributions. So that's what the contributions and the importance of projects like Masud has been working on. There are lots of other projects within the city that are about Bangladeshi contributions and about Muslim contributions too. And to mention the Muslim aspect is really important, because we know there are challenges in the world today, and we're having to fight all the time to demonstrate the value that we make, that we contribute to this city and to the country. I'm currently project managing a project called Connected Histories, Muslims in the First World War. And what that project is about, the Muslim contribution to World War I. There will be in due course many projects about Muslim contributions to World War II. Muslim contributions to World War I, I'll just give you some numbers. In the First World War, India contributed 1.3 million personnel to the First World War, to the British war effort. Okay. 400,000 were Muslim. They included people who fought on the battlefields, died or were injured on the battlefields. In many of the European battlefields that we don't think about, that suddenly Muslims are there. We're not told that Muslims fought in all these European battles or in North Africa. Okay. I'm also exploring, and there are also, I should say, many people who are descended from those soldiers who are Muslim, who are living in the city now, so we're recording their stories. What do you remember, or what do you know about your great-grandfather or your grandfather? The other part of it that we're recording is, we know that there were lots of Muslims who were in the merchant navy as Lascars during the First World War, and many were Bangladeshi and Bengali. Okay. We know there are ships, merchant ships, that were sunk all around the coast of Britain, on which there were Bangladeshis who went down with those ships from the Bristol Channel, the English Channel. I have a book at home, right, where all of the people that drowned in the merchant navy during the First World War are listed. So all the people that drowned during the First World War who were on the British merchant ships are listed. The first 3 pages are Muslim names. Why? Because they're all Abdul, and then after that comes your Allens and your Adams. So I was shocked when I opened the book, and I thought this must be the wrong book, because all these people are Muslim, but you'd be surprised the thousands of people that Muslims and Bangladeshis have drowned on British merchant ships, you know, and I've got the names and so on. So the project is trying to bring that to the surface. Recently we've submitted an application to explore the heritage and history of Bangladeshi-owned Indian restaurants in Birmingham. So I'll be coming to some of our colleagues and fellow community folk here, and others afield, and the idea of that is to document and record how the industry started to take shape and form. My own father worked in the foundries, and then eventually worked as a chef in Indian restaurants in Birmingham. Okay. I should mention that also that my grandfather, I'm giving you this so we have an idea of how the community has formed and what projects we're doing. I should mention to you, my grandfather came to this country in 1937 as a Lascar in the merchant navy. During the Second World War, my grandfather made bullets in the munitions factory for the British war effort, and he saw the Blitz in this country. And why am I telling you this? These are the snippets, these are the bits of history that we don't know, that we don't see in the history books, we don't see it on TV. Ordinary Bangladeshi people that have contributed in this kind of way, Muslims that have contributed in this kind of way. Okay? In the Second World War, 2.5 million Indians were supported the British war effort. 2.5 million. 700,000 were Muslim. By the Second World War, over a quarter of the British merchant navy were made up of Lascars from South Asia. So something like tens of thousands of Lascars in the British merchant navy during the Second World War were Bengali. Okay, so these are the kinds of things that we want to bring to the surface, to present to Birmingham people, to Bangladeshis, but also we want this sort of stuff recorded in the national history books. Okay, so this is just to give you an idea of some of the projects that we are doing and the efforts that we're going through. Okay, the project that Brother Matthew is doing is really important because some of the stories that he's brought to our attention I didn't even know, and he's also said that the contributions from our fellow elders have been really important, humble, and very honest, and I'm so appreciative of that. Okay, because history and heritage recording can't simply be about all the nice things that ever happened.